Welcome to Learn and Practice video tutorials. Fonts in Microsoft Word. This video is all about formatting fonts. The sound is included, but it's not absolutely required, and you don't need any documents. Disclaimer. This video is aimed at CAT learners who need to keep up with schoolwork during COVID-19 crisis. It is not as polished as I would like it to be. Sometimes there is sound, but the sound is not really important to the video. Tips for using: do it with the video, pause when you need to, slow it down or speed it up with the playback speed. See tips for using videos for lessons.mp4. Okay, so you need to start with a blank document. Type equals rand, and the first value is for the number of paragraphs, so let's do 5 paragraphs, and we're going to have 4 lines in each paragraph. Press Enter and it gives us our generated code. What we're going to do in this video is just to have a look at all the formatting that we can do for fonts. Alright, so remember that we can double click to select one word, and we can underline it. We can double click and do italics and underlined. Right, we can change the font by clicking up here and having a look at what it looks like. Notice that as we hover over our text, it changes it in our document, but it only keeps it that way once we have clicked the font that we want. We can change the size, and we can do interesting things like increase the font size. Viewing this increases it 2 at a time, or we can decrease it by using that button. Over here we can change the case, so we can change this to uppercase. An interesting one is that we can toggle the case. So here we've got a capital W. When I toggle the case, that becomes the small, the others become big. We can also make a sentence case. It's not the beginning of the sentence, so it's not going to matter. But if I go in here and I press a space, we can now do the same thing, and it should give us a capital because it's the beginning of a new sentence. Alright, over here we click the font color drop down button. We can obviously change the color. And this one is to highlight it. So we can, the highlight is the back. Now that's not technically the same thing as formatting, or it's not the same thing as background. Okay, this is background. So if I change this to blue, they look fairly much the same in that that's highlight and that's background, but they are technically different. Okay, if I click on this word and I go up, if I click on this word, that's where the background is, you'll notice that this is still saying no color. If I click over here, if we click the text highlight color down arrow button, you'll see that the red box is around the yellow to say that it has been highlighted in yellow. Alright, so when I mark, that's exactly what I do, is I actually click on your word and I check the formatting. Doesn't matter if it looks like it. Alright, so the other things that we can look at are from inside our font dialog box, and we can do interesting things. You can change the font here, you can change the style, the italics bold, you can change the size. You can also do things like the color, but the underline style, generally the button, it just does a solid one line. But you can do things like attach word only. So if we have a look, we haven't really selected anything, so I realized that nothing we would have done would have affected it. So we've underlined 3 words. If we click words only, we'll have underlined just the words. Select the words. Word provides header. We can do things like change the underline color. So I can have a double underline and I can make it underline in red to emphasize it. Can you see the preview? And then click OK. Double click the word footer, then click the font button. Do a strike through, click behind the word page, type 2. And if I wanted to put a little 2 at the top of page, I could superscript it. In order to do this, I want to highlight the 2. It's quite difficult to click and drag over one digit, so use the shift and left arrow key to select it. Click the font button, click superscript, click OK. It puts it above the others. You'll also notice that there's the buttons for superscript and subscript. Double click the word text. I can even do a whole word, make it smaller and underneath. And there's the strike through again. Let's try that again. Alright, we're actually doing fonts. Alright, so over here we can also make it small caps. Some of the fonts, these don't actually work very well, so that's made them all capitals, and we can have all caps over there. Now if we look at them next to each other, you'll notice there's a difference in size. The font number is the same, or the font size is the same, but they are slightly different. Alright, under advanced, we can also do strange things with the spacing. Alright, so at the moment we've got 100% scale and we've got normal spacing. The normal is quite interesting because you can expand it, which means that it puts some space in between each letter. I'm going to really make it a little bit emphasized, so you'll notice that that word is now spaced out. Alright, we can also change that and we can say it must be condensed. So instead of normal spacing, we want it to be closer to each other. Position, it can be raised. So this is kind of what your superscript and subscript do. They raise the font or lower it. Alright, and then we can have a look at the text effects, and this is normal text effects, so this isn't changing it to word art. It just, we can have our word transparent, solid fill, gradient fill. So this is quite fun. I quite like playing with gradients. So you can choose a type of gradient and you can change where the gradients kind of react to each other. So there's a stopping point or a gradient fill, and you'll notice if I change this line, it does change, maybe not so much in the preview, but let's have a look over here. Okay, and you can't see it when it's small, so let's make it bigger. So let's make it 72, and you can see a little bit the way this is darker and that's lighter. If I highlight that, I'm going to just highlight half of it because we want to see what effect this gradient stop has. So I'm going to make it a lot lighter over here and see what it does. Can we see a difference? Yes, we can. You can see those are lighter and those are darker. Alright, so we've played with our highlighting, we've played with caps, superscript, subscript, the difference between underline and background color and highlighting. I can't think of anything else that we need to do.
If you have found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Or leave a positive comment in Google Classroom, smiley face.